A baby, placed in a basket, floating on the Nile. A prince raised in a palace. A shepherd called by fire. And a leader who stood against the might of an empire. This is the story of Moses, the man chosen to change history. Born during a time of oppression, Moses should have been doomed. Pharaoh had ordered all Hebrew baby boys to be killed. But his mother, desperate to save him, placed him in a basket and set him afloat on the Nile. He was found and raised as an Egyptian prince, but deep inside he was a Hebrew. When he saw an Egyptian beating an Israelite slave, he acted, and in one moment, his life changed forever. Now a fugitive, Moses fled to the wilderness where he became a shepherd. But his journey was far from over. One day, in the quiet of the desert, fire called his name. "Moses, remove your sandals, for you stand on holy ground." It was the voice of God, commanding him to return to Egypt to free his people. Moses was afraid. How could he, a mere shepherd, stand against Pharaoh? But God had chosen him. With his brother Aaron by his side, Moses stood before the most powerful man in the world and declared, "Let my people go." But Pharaoh refused. His heart was hardened, and so Egypt was struck by 10 devastating plagues. At last, Pharaoh could bear it no more. He released the Israelites. But freedom came with a price. Pharaoh changed his mind and sent his army to recapture the Israelites. Trapped between the Red Sea and the soldiers, it seemed like all hope was lost, until Moses lifted his staff. The sea parted and the Israelites walked through on dry ground. When the Egyptians followed, the waters crashed down, swallowing them whole. The Israelites were free. The journey had just begun. For 40 years, the Israelites wandered, facing trials, doubts, and tests of faith. At Mount Sinai, Moses received the 10 Commandments, laws that would shape a nation. He was a leader, a prophet, and a messenger of God. But even Moses would not enter the promised land. Instead, from a mountain, he gazed upon it, before passing the mantle to Joshua. A baby saved from the Nile. A prince who became a prophet. A man who stood before kings and led a nation to freedom. This is the legacy of Moses. A story of faith, courage, and the power of God's promise.